So last year, I spoke at the Primary Care Conference in the great city of Birmingham, and I was asked to speak on the subject of raising practice profits. Now that's a bit of a nebulous subject, and if I'm honest, it was something that is really kind of out my comfort zone. I don't talk about money as much. There's other coaches and mentors out there who are more focused on the money aspect. For me, it's kind of not my thing. But I said yes to it and turned up on the day and delivered what I think was a pretty good presentation. Now I talked through the usual stuff. So, you want to raise your practice profits. It's increasing prices and turnover, it's reducing costs, and then it's increasing volume. And those are kind of the cardinal three which we look at. But the one thing which I wanted to touch on more than anything else was this idea of customer experience. So customer experience is really the experience of what your clients and your patients and your customers have when they come and see you. It's the thing which will get them to talk about you when they're not in the room with you. It's the thing which they'll talk to about their friends. It's the thing which kind of drives word of mouth. And I've thought a lot about how in a healthcare business, a foot health business, a podiatry business, you could actually really increase your customer experience. And there's a great reason why. And this is the reason. One of my favorite stats is that 86% of your customers will pay more for your service because of a great customer experience. Let that sink in for a moment. 86% of your customers will pay more money for a great customer experience. And for me, that kind of begs the question, how can you increase customer experience? What can you do to make that customer experience even better? Because I know you're all brilliant at what you do, and I know you all work really hard to make your patients happy and provide a good service, but there's more that you can do. So let's give you a little scenario. I want you to imagine that you have a patient who maybe requires nail surgery. And I want you to think about the journey that you follow currently for nail surgery. And it's probably something simple like this. Patient has an ingrown toenail, they call your clinic, they come and see you, you talk them through the options, you book them in for nail surgery, you do the nail surgery, you redress and follow them up, they heal, you never see them again. Now that in itself is fine. You've solved their problem. They've got an ingrown toenail, you've done the surgery to sort it out, you've then discharged them when they're healed. And that is absolutely fantastic stuff. And I'm certain that they would go off and talk to other people about the good job that you've done. But what if you could really supercharge that customer experience? What sort of things could you do to really make that customer experience even better? So let's start with the stuff at the front end. How does your customer know that you are the person that they should be coming to see? What is it that sets you apart from someone else? And for me, it's about this thing called the zero moment of truth. It's that first point of contact before they've even met you. And for me, this is about having videos, it's about having educational material, this is about having things which offer value, which offer education and to some degree entertainment, sat on social media, on the web, in a blog, wherever you want it to be, which these patients and clients and customers come into contact first of all. And that helps them to know, like, and trust you. And it makes their decision to come and see you over another practitioner much, much easier. That's your first part. Your second part is, what do they then do? So they then follow your video, they then get introduced to you online, they then contact the clinic, and instead of maybe getting an answer phone message, what they can actually do is they can book in online. They can book online, they can pay online, they can get everything confirmed online. And then they get a package of information which gets sent out in the post or emailed to them, which tells them exactly what to expect before they come in. So the next part is to contact them before the appointment. Now this could be done on the phone. This could be done on a video such as this. There are many pieces of software out there which you can do. You can even do it on your phone. And it's really just to kind of say hello I'm looking forward to meeting you, looking forward to seeing you in clinic and sorting your problem out for you. Here's some stuff which might be useful for you to know before you come to the appointment. You're going to need to bring this with you. We're going to ask you these kind of questions, and these are the kind of things that we might do. And if you've got any questions in the meantime, give us a shout beforehand. And on that video and on that contact, you can maybe talk to them about some other things which are a bit more personal. So for example, you could talk to them about, well, our clinic is situated in this location. And in order to get to our clinic, you've got to go through this door and that door and the other door. Or there's roadworks outside the clinic next week when you're coming to see us. So just make sure you leave a little bit of time to come and see us. Or, you want parking. Parking is local. There's so many things which you can put in there to make the experience more personal. And what you're trying to do is reduce the barriers to those people coming to see you. You don't want to be giving them stress. You want to be making it a smooth transition and experience as possible. Then think about when they get to the clinic. Well, what are they greeted with? Are they greeted with a nice, smiley, happy person, or are they greeted with someone grumpy? Do they get a cup of tea, cup of coffee, or a drink of their choice? Does the person who's welcoming them know exactly who it is and what they're there for? Because if you can nail all of those things, that's a really good first impression. You can get those people booked in really quickly and they come to an environment where they feel comfortable and they feel safe. Then think about the experience actually in the assessment. Now, this is where the majority of people have this lick. This is your bread and butter. This is what you do on a daily basis. You're used to dealing with patients when it comes to some form of medical and healthcare treatment. This is the easy bit. This you've got absolutely licked. But what about at the end of the treatment? There's a lot of information which gets given to patients, especially if we're thinking about nail surgery. You've gone through a consent form, you've gone through the whole procedure, you've made sure there's no questions, you've really put to bed any of their concerns. But how much of that information is truly remembered by the patient when they leave that clinic? Now, one of the things you could look at doing is actually doing a very quick video at the end and sending it to the patient. Something along the lines of, it was great to see you in clinic today. Thanks for coming along. This is the plan we've got set up. We're going to be doing nail surgery on this date. You're going to need to do, you're going to need to do these things. Bring somebody with you. You're going to have local anaesthetic, which means that you won't be able to drive. You're going to need a roomy shoe or slipper. All of these things which we take for granted because we talk about it so much, your patients don't take that for granted. And actually that nice personal reminder can make a real difference. Then you've got the day of surgery. They come along, they get welcomed, they're looked after in exactly the same way that you would do for any other patient. But again, there's a lot of information which gets passed through that appointment, which they then have to try and process in a fairly stressful environment. Again, another video or communication at the end, something to back up the information which you give them as a paper-based copy. What to do in terms of LA, what to do in terms of going to the dentist, what to do in terms of redressing. All of that can be done in a way which they can remember, in a way which will help them to actually not worry about things afterwards. Then you've got your first redressing and subsequent redressings after that. And realistically, you could be, if you redress on a regular basis, you could be seeing that patient for weeks on end until they're healed. Now think about how you can communicate with them during that period. Think about any times in the whole healing process where actually it might get a little bit worse. For me, it was always day 10. Day 10 was the point where there was a bit of gunk would build up in the wound and people would get worried thinking it was actually getting worse and getting infected. What about a contact on day 10? A message saying, this is the point where sometimes it gets a little bit gunky and people get a bit concerned. If you're worried, why don't you pick up the phone and give me a call? Or why don't you send me a picture of your toe and I can advise you accordingly on it. And if we need to bring you in, we can do. It shows another level of caring to your patient. So what about when it's healed? When this ingrowing toenail has all been done and dusted, all the redressings are done, the whole thing's healed. What other touch points have you got after that? Because you could be getting in touch with them 6 months down the line, 6 months after surgery and saying, just going through our notes, we saw you 6 months ago, we're hoping everything's still good. If there's anything you're worried about, pick up the phone, give us a call, send us a picture of your toe, all of those kind of things. What about 12 months later? What about making sure that they're okay? And it's kind of we were thinking about you, we saw you X number of months ago, we thought we'd just be in touch to see how you're doing. Now, all of that sounds like a huge amount of work, and I suppose to some degree it is. It takes effort, it takes thought, it takes planning, and it takes a lot of time to map those things out. But just imagine the word of mouth, the recommendation, the conversations that your patient will have with people they know. Oh, I've been for ingrown toenail surgery with this person down the road. Do you know? They did this, 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 and this. They sent me videos telling me, what to expect. They sent me a video to make sure I was okay. They contacted me 6 months after the procedure to make sure I was okay. How many of your friends who've been for healthcare appointments have ever said that to you, have said that their healthcare professional has contacted them 6 months down the line, has sent them videos? These are all customer experience things which you can implement in your practice really, really easily. And they take a bit of imagination, but they can make a huge difference to your business. And think back to those 86% of your customers who will pay more for a better customer experience. That in itself makes a massive, massive difference. And I sincerely hope that you look at doing this kind of stuff. But there's one thing I would say that you definitely need to do. In any of your communications around improving your customer experience, you have to make it personal. People want to feel that it's an individual treatment and they're loved and they're supported and they're looked after. Make it personal and it makes a huge difference.